Today we've got Emely Timm on the podcast. Emely and I first spoke a while ago on the topic of skin tones. Emily's a professional photographer. She's also a photographer artist in the NFT space. You can connect with her on Twitter at Emely_Timm, or then on Instagram at Emely Timm Photography, all in one word. And today we're going to cover two themes today about Emily's work. One of them is the act of developing your voice. And then the second is the freedom of simply creating photos versus selling. So you've had a few pivotal points in your photography career. One is, at 12, you got your first camera from your dad. At 16, you're already doing your first business, making money from your photography. And then later on, you started your work as a professional photographer. And we can see this as well. Let me already have some of Emily's work. I'm going to start with the early years, and you can really see that at this point in time, this is you going through and discovering every single thing about photography. And it's like, oh, okay. And here already you can see you're playing a little bit further here as well with this image. And then at one point, it stops. Yeah, this is pretty embarrassing. But at one point it goes to a completely different look. And something changes. So talk to us a little bit about what changed. What went, because this is so stark. And then it's like, boom, something changed entirely. Your voice changed.
Yeah, when I started photography, I was always comparing myself to other artists. And I've been doing that until recently. I would always not do my own thing. I would always look for artists that inspire me and kind of copy, And I have a very good friend who's also my colleague who kind of helped me find my voice, if you wanna call it like that. Because we spent hours and hours talking about our photography and curating photos, and he helped me understand that it's important what I feel about my work and what I want to photograph and not what the people want to see. Because before I would take a picture, I was like, okay, what would the crowd want to see? What would the people enjoy? What would get a lot of likes? Blah, 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 all this stuff. And I put myself under so much pressure. And I mean, my photos were good already, but I feel like looking back now, there was the spark missing. And I think I'm still not having it, but I'm on a good way to get it. Because I just take photos of whatever I want to, and I just post it no matter what. I don't think about the opinion of others anymore. Well, I try. Of course, it comes into my mind.
So when you say, for example, that you used to hunt and try and hunt for photos that will get a lot of likes, did you end up getting all the likes that you wanted?
No, not at all. And now that I stopped and I just post whatever comes from my heart, it kind of works. So that's quite interesting to see. And also I feel much better about it, really. I feel so much better. And when I took all this pressure off my chest, I mean, I didn't do it like this. It was like a process. It was several months. But I feel so much lighter now when I take pictures. I don't feel that pressure. I don't feel the rush. I don't feel the force. It just comes so naturally whenever I take pictures now. And that is a really good feeling for me. It's almost like meditating.
Let's backtrack. How do you define artistic voice in photography?
It's hard to find your own voice because everything has been there already, and it's very hard with just photography to create something completely new that has nobody ever seen before. I think that is quite hard, but to maybe find some kind of uniqueness in your style could be the artistic voice of everybody that is a photographer. If you mix photography and artificial intelligence or painting or something, if you mix that together, you can maybe create something completely new that the world has never seen before. With photography, I feel it's quite hard to create something completely new, but I think you can make your style unique. And that's what I'm working on right now.
Because you mentioned something completely new, right? So that's one thing, which is a voice which the world has never heard before, which then in that sense would actually be your voice. So does it have to be new? Does it have to not been done before to be considered interesting?
I see a lot of photography that is super interesting that I kind of seen in this genre before maybe, but it's still very good and it still has something very unique that you like see, okay, this was from that artist.
In that sense, the voice is to be able to look at a photo and then say like, oh, okay, that photo is from Emely.
That would be amazing if I could get there one day. But I think it's quite hard because I'm also struggling to decide who I want to be as a photographer. I'm also still in the process of that because there's people who say, okay, I do 100% street photography or I do 100% portrait. And for me, I don't know yet. I like it all. And I do it all.
But see, that's a real thing though, right? Because it's, in one sense, a lot of people, they commit, right? And they commit to this one style, or they commit to one genre of photography or one thing. And yeah, I guess it's probably easier to be able to then develop something from that one style, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you could say AC/DC wrote the same song for the last 45 years, right? And then at the same time, you've got other bands that are trying to continuously reinvent themselves and have success as well. How do you deal with that, with all the different interests that you've got, and then at the same time still trying to develop your voice?
I also stopped punishing myself. Like I would always be like, Emely, come on, you have to decide what direction do you want to go, what do you want to be, who do you want to be as a photographer. Like in general, I just put myself under a lot of pressure from myself. Nobody else did, it was just me, by comparing myself to others and seeing how others do. So I think that was just not healthy and I stopped that. Right now I'm at the point I'm just doing whatever feels good. I just take a picture when I want to take a picture. As you know, I never leave my house without my camera, so I have it always with me.
No good photographer does.
Yeah. And when I'm on the street and I see a good street photograph, then I take the picture. If I see a nice person, I ask to take the portrait. If I see something nice in the nature, I just photograph it. Maybe that's my direction.
Some people say to find your voice that you have to model, or you have to copy, or you have to steal from other persons, from many persons, right? And to be honest, in one sense, I absolutely believe that. Who did you steal from?
For sure, when it comes to street photography, I steal from Vivian Maier.
Yep. In what sense?
How she sees people and how she also worked with color. That's very impressive. I mean, most of the time she did black and white photography, which I love so much. But she also did a few rolls of color film. And how she played with the color in her picture, how she saw color, that's what I'm trying as well. So I'm kind of stealing a little bit from her, but stealing sounds bad. She just inspires me. I like Elliot Erwitt a lot because he has very humorous pictures. I like when there's a good picture that can also make you giggle a bit, like laugh a little bit or smile a little bit. I think that's a very high level of a good photo when it's...
Would you say that your collages are a little bit based around that? These are the collages that you have sent me.
Yeah.
And I can also, I can see what you mean in terms of your inspirations as well. Do you see these photos, like for example here, the shoulder and then theoretically the flowers or the head? Do you see these photos before? Like, do you take this photo and then afterwards do you look for something like this? Or is it you take something and then you take something else and then afterwards in your editing is when you start putting together the final result?
That's exactly how I do it. Yeah. I just take pictures all the time. And when I see some of my pictures matching the others, then I put them together to a collage. But I don't look for this. It just kind of happens. Yeah.
Really? I mean, it is a very interesting style. I mean, especially like, for example, this here, you could be forgiven for not even realizing that it's a collage.
This is my own hair on the left.
Is that your own hair? And in that sense, you have a lot of the artistic process. Like there's people who have the artistic process in the post-processing as it is, in the edits that they do and how they edit their colors or whatever it is. But you are composing whilst you're taking a photo, and then you're composing again in the post-processing.
And sometimes there's periods where I just don't do collages at all. Like the last 2 months, I didn't do a collage at all. Like I didn't get the impulse to do it. I didn't have the two fitting pictures. I always have like one picture and then one picture that kind of matches with the other, but then I put them together and I'm like, okay, no, doesn't work. And I just leave it. I just let it go. And I continue doing what I do. And one day there will be the perfect piece for it.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah.
When I first started noticing them, they became more humorous and more refined. And then I realized what you were doing with them. I didn't really notice it before. Before I thought it was just interesting pictures put together. I didn't see the relationship between the two of them. So when you started doing those, did you feel more pressure to do them again and again and then find it again?
Yeah. When I started my collages, I like you saw it right. I started with just putting nice pictures together that match from the mood, from the vibe, kind of like there was not much thought to it. And then I developed this thing that I wanted to create some kind of story. I don't know, make the people feel something when they see it. And I started this and I started selling on Object, and then I felt the pressure. I felt like, oh, it's selling. I need to create something new. I need to sell something new, blah, blah, blah. All this stuff was really bad for me.
In the NFT space, and for those that don't know, NFT has revived artists and their ability to sell art digitally. And tell me a little bit about, because you're a successful selling artist in the NFT space. What has that been like?
Selling a picture feels nice. It is a nice feeling, but it is very short term. Like I'm happy about it and then I kind of forget about it again. So what really keeps me going and what is good for my soul and my mind is the moment when I take a picture or when I make the perfect collage, when I put the perfect pieces together. That's what gives me a high in the long run, like when I sell, it's short and intense, but it leaves very fast, this feeling of joy. But when I take a good photo, when I make a nice collage, when I have a good photo walk and I know, oh my God, I took like at least 2 or 3 pictures that are really cool, this feeling lasts for hours, sometimes even days, and that is really nice. It's like my drug. It's like people giving the shot. That's my shot.
All right. So then, for example, you said you started feeling the pressure with the collages and trying to sell them. What was the pressure for? Was it to make that photo, or was it to make one that sells, or what was the pressure?
I think it was also to make one that sells.
Because if you didn't sell it, you weren't successful, or what was the negative?
It felt a little bit like that, and I also felt like if I don't promote my work, like if I don't promote work that I sell, I don't get seen, or I cannot exist in the space, or I will not be appreciated. I don't know why I had those thoughts. Because it's absolutely not the case. I'm super happy in this community right now. I get so much support from all the people, and I haven't minted something compared to my months before in a long, long time, because right now I'm just waiting for the impulse that I feel like, okay, this is so beautiful, I want to sell it. And right now I just don't have it, and I don't punish myself for it anymore. I just wait and see what happens.
To be honest, this is a battle that I've faced a lot with overall NFTs in general. Like the idea of going on to Twitter and then promoting your work and then saying, "Hey, look at this," or just also promoting the same style of photography, or like these are all things. I know that there's photographers who they have one style. And maybe they even coined the style. Maybe they were the first. So it's really, they own that style. And everyone after them are people who are basing it off of them. But that's just, I feel, not for me. I feel a lot of everyday artists or everyday photographers is what I call, people who, the insurance salesman who also goes out on the weekend and does amazing street photography or whatever it is. I feel like a lot of people could possibly relate to that, to the fact that they don't want to just be stuck in one style and have to promote that style as if they are now, Coca-Cola and they're selling one flavor of drink.
It's just not for me. I don't know. The photography has so much to offer, in my opinion. I cannot just do the same stuff all the time. And the promoting also doesn't come naturally to me. Not at all, really. This is so hard for me. Yeah, I wish somebody would do it for me.
How does the act of selling, though, influence your voice?
That's something that was really not good, because I was always thinking what sells best. When I took a photo, and that kind of blocked me a little bit in my creative space, because I was like framing myself in my head, being like, okay, the people like that before, so try to do something similar for the people. And I think that is not the essence of making art or making photography. I think it should be your own voice, it should come from your heart, and it should carry your emotions, no matter what other people think. They either like it or they don't. And my art is not for everybody. Everybody knows that. I'm just really glad that I stopped hunting for other people's attention and opinion.
What was the trigger? At one point, like, you decided, okay, I'm not going to shill. I'm not going to sell.
I was just so stressed. I was so stressed, really. All the mentions in my Twitter, they were always tagging me to shill somewhere. And then it started that I was on the couch with my girlfriend and my phone would bling all the time. Light. And I would always grab it and I would do the stuff. And I would not be in the moment with my girlfriend. I would not enjoy it anymore. And then she also said, Emely, you're not here with me. You're in the phone all the time. And also at work, like I work in an office as a photographer, and I work with my colleague. So he sits next to me, and he also noticed that I do it during the working hours all the time. I would just not calm down anymore. And I was so stressed. I said to myself, Emely, this is not as important as you think it is. It really is not. Your life is important. Your relationship is important. And the rest comes after. I gladly changed my priorities again.
Because there, it's two things that are combined, right? One is you're selling your work, right? Which is, I think, for any person who puts something creative into it and then gets a reward for it in a monetary reward, is like, oh yes, it's worth something more than just, my adoration or somebody who likes it. And then you've got that combined with social media and Twitter and these relatively addictive apps.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that combination?
It's not good. For me, it's not good. But I think everybody has to find their own way of dealing with it. It's everybody's own responsibility. How to spend their time, how to share their life. And I'm just glad that I realized that for me, and I turned off my Twitter notifications. That was a big step. Really, my phone just doesn't blink anymore. That changed a lot. I only look when I want to look now. and not all the time. That was making me so nervous all the time, really. That was really not healthy.
How has it changed your art?
I'm more free and it comes to me more natural. And I can also sometimes let a moment pass that I would like to photograph. But then I'm also like, okay, also I just want to enjoy this right now. So I just let it pass. I don't take the photo and I'm not so hard on myself like I was before.
So if you had to make a living only from selling your art, is that something that you would choose to pursue?
That would be nice, but I would really have to find a way for me to do it without obsessing over it. Yeah. Like I'm really impressed by how the big artists do it. I mean, they have also very big reach, which is also very nice, but I'm impressed how they do it. Sometimes I think I should just post something and turn my phone off. Just put it away, just don't look anymore. Yeah.
So has that changed your plans and your goals for you as a photography artist in the NFT space?
My goal right now is not really defined. But for me, what I can define is that my number one priority is me and my relationship. And my art, of course, but that doesn't include the NFT space and it doesn't include the selling. But the people that I've met, the community, they are just amazing, really. And I don't want to miss that at all. And I'm just waiting for the impulse to come and to maybe make a new collection or, I don't know, mint something else. And I'm sure it will happen, but I will just not rush it. I will just take my time and enjoy the process.
It's very learning, actually. It's like I'm learning a lot from listening to you here as well. In my own experiences, it's very, because it's tough. It's very difficult. You want to put out stuff that you like. For a long time, I did not put my favorite photos, the photos that I thought were the best, I did not put onto Instagram. I never, because I felt like, what if I put this out and then it only gets like, I don't know, 15 likes. It's like, no, exactly. It's worth more than 15 likes. So let me put the second favorite or the third favorite. And that's a real pain with social media, I find.
Yeah, and that's what I want to work on this year. Like I always want to work on this, but especially this year, I don't want to give a shit about other people's opinion. Really, I just don't want to anymore. It's influenced my life in so many bad ways that I've just had enough. And I'm really trying this year. Of course, some people will still influence me, my best friend or my partner. But that's it.
And you feel that the NFT space, or your time now in the NFT, Twitter, social media, trying to chase sales and shilling, you feel that has been a part of that, what has led you to this point where you're just like, hey, I can't care too much about what other people want from me as opposed to what it is that I want to give?
I think it comes more from within me, because I would also sometimes just send my pictures to random people and be like, what do you think about this? And it doesn't matter what anybody thinks about my art as long as I love it and as long as I want to put it out or not put it out. I also have a lot of stuff that I've never posted that I really like, but I just didn't feel like publishing it yet. And I think this whole decision came from myself. Nobody else did anything to me. It was just my own way of thinking and prioritizing other people's opinion over mine. If that makes sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of us, we care about what other people think, and then it's pervasive in so many aspects of our life. And in some respects, I guess it's okay, to care a little bit more. And in other cases, it's probably not so good.
I think it's in human nature to be admired and appreciated. And I think some people have it more, some people have it less. Always depends on how you got raised and what experiences you've had in your life. And we all just, I mean, when you break it down, the human just wants to be loved. So I think that has something to do with it for sure, that you want to be like appreciated for your work and admired for your art. But in this case, it just doesn't matter as long as you like it and stand behind it.
I absolutely agree with you. And when I used to get compliments on my photography, I would ignore that as much as I possibly could. Because if I could ignore the compliments, then I could also ignore the people who say or whatever. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, it's entirely distant. It's like it's not good, it's not bad, it just is. It's something that I created, and I liked the act of creating it.
People's tastes are just different, and it's okay.
Yeah.
And we have to accept it. That's all.
In terms of developing your voice, and in terms of finding your voice, do you think it's a good thing? Like, is there only good things that come from it?
When I don't pressure myself, yeah. For sure. But sometimes I feel like I get into that lane again, that I start pressuring myself again, and I have to calm myself down, and just take a break and be like, okay, Emily, chill. Don't go that toxic way again. You've been there. You don't want to do that.
Do you feel you've learned about yourself through your voice, or through finding the act of finding your voice?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely learned that my photography is sometimes very romantic and very like cheesy. It can be very cheesy, and I know that a lot of people don't like it. And a lot of people back then, when I started photography, they always told me, oh my God, this is so cheesy. This is so way over way too much romantic in there. And that's when I stopped it. Like, I would just close that chapter in my head and be like, okay, Emily, just don't do that anymore, because the people don't like it. But that's complete bullshit. That's just who I am. That's how I express myself. And if you like it, I'm happy. If you don't like it, it's okay. For sure. For sure. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, it was a very interesting conversation, especially also because this is our second conversation now. I'm looking forward to a follow-up in like 6 months, or maybe even, we'll see, whatever time frame it is, because it's very interesting to watch your journey as it unfolds. From the first time when we spoke, you were big time in that NFT selling space, right? And I think then at one point I moved away a little bit from Twitter for a while, and then when I came back after my little break, it was very clear something had changed with your work and the way you were posting, and just something had changed entirely, and for the better. You could see that as well. So
thank you.
I hope that continues for you as well.
Makes me happy that you think so. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Cool. Emily, it was cool talking to you.
I had a good time. Thank you.
Yes, and I hope for those of you watching or listening that you could get some snippets from Emily. Emily, if you were giving, let's close on this. If you were giving yourself some advice, you've heard about this NFT thing, you're into photography, you're figuring your stuff out, and you want to get into it. What advice are you giving yourself back in June 2022? What are you telling you?
I'm telling myself, don't start selling immediately. Get a feeling for the space, get a feeling for the people, get a feeling for what you want to show, and don't rush it. Don't rush it so much. I was rushing way too much.
Yep. What advice do you give Emily in June 2022 about finding your voice?
Take your time, be kind to yourself, and appreciate the process.
Cool. Emily, thank you very much. You should follow her at Emely_Timm on Twitter. and Emely Timm Photography on Instagram, if I remember correctly, right?
Exactly.
All right.
Perfect.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Emely.